Welcome to the Life's Best Medicine podcast, where we are finding hope and healing one episode at a time. No appointment needed, no rubber gloves, and no coping. Just a healthy dose of life lessons to help equip you for this wild journey we call life. Hey everyone, it's June already. 6 months till Christmas. I'm warning you now so you don't let it sneak up on you again. But this is the time for travel, for having fun. So make Simply Snacking a part of your plans. You know, they have 10 great flavors, beef and chicken with tons of different things. Cherries, you can have with cherries if you want, or teriyaki or pineapple or whatever. I stick with the plain stuff because I have to watch my carbs. But for those of you who don't have to watch your carbs as much, there's a lot of great options for you out there. And I want to really thank them for sponsoring this podcast because I get to interview a lot of my heroes this month. So I have an unbelievable lineup coming up, and you're going to hear one of them today. And so June and July are going to be a lot of fun. So, thank you, Simply Snacking, for keeping us going. And so everyone eat their stuff, go and buy their stuff, let them reap the benefits of hosting this podcast. So thank you all for joining me, and enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome back to the Life's Best Medicine podcast. Today I have a good one. I'm excited. I think I think we all need to hear encouragement and stories and how we overcome obstacles in life. So Debra Scott joining me all the way from overseas.
Oh, yes, I am all the way in the UK.
In the UK, it's awesome to have you. I've been watching your story. And so tell people who don't know you, a little bit about you and kind of your journey in life and how you got to where you are now.
Okay. Well, basically, I'm not medically trained or anything. I'm just a mum and a granny. And I go back to December 2017. And I was always relatively fit, never needed to go to the doctor, but I had severe unrelenting heartburn for weeks and IBS symptoms as well, and a little bit of a dry mouth. And I was getting quite worried about it. So I thought it was something sinister, actually. So I booked it at the doctor, and he did a raft of bloods, and he also sent me for a scan. So I was called back to see the doctor and the nurse, and I was told that I had a fatty liver and that I was type 2 diabetic. I was absolutely devastated at that diagnosis because my mum had also been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and she'd passed away 14 years earlier, and I'd seen what she went through and the complications that she got. She ended up on insulin. She had kidney problems, eyesight. She was registered blind in the end. She had hiatus hernia, diverticulitis, you name it. She had all sorts going on. And she also had these sores on her legs that wouldn't heal. The community nurse coming around every day to dress them. So I just kept thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to end up like my mum. And I know where that got her. So I said to the diabetic nurse, I said, okay, so I've been diagnosed diabetic and you want to give me this metformin and statins, and my blood pressure was also high. So I said, could you just give me 2 months? She told me I was 4 stone overweight, which is over 50 pounds. If you could just give me 2 months for me to get my head around it, see if I can do something about it, because I'd kind of got it in my head. I'd seen somewhere you can reverse diabetes. So I went home. I was absolutely devastated in my husband's arms. I was sobbing unconsolably for at least 2 days. And then when I got my head around it, I just went onto the internet and I just put in 2 words, reversing diabetes. And it took me straight to diabetes.co.uk. And it's got a brilliant forum. And the forum members, I was kind of lurking in the background to start with, because this was mind-blowing. They seem to know so much about everything to do with diabetes, and I was trying to learn a little bit. And on the members' signature panels, there's quite a lot of their story, people's HbA1c, which is the blood test that tells you how sugary your blood's been for the last 3 months, plummeting, blood pressure coming down, normalizing, all sorts of weight loss. The weight loss was dramatic. And when I read into it, they all seem to be doing it by reducing the carbohydrates. Now, this was exactly opposite to what I'd been told by my diabetic nurse, and I got the booklets from them. The advice was to eat lots of starchy carbs, lots of fruit and vegetables, very little fat, very little red meat, little salt. So it was very confusing to start with, but I thought, hang on a minute, these are the experts. They are dealing with the diabetes every day. So I'm going to kind of follow what they say. And so 2 months later, after when I went back to my next appointment, because I'd asked her to give me 2 months, I'd lost 2 stone. And my HbA1c was down from 62, so anything over 47 is diabetic. It was down to 47, which is pre-diabetic. And I went in with all my paperwork and all my cuttings, and the diabetic nurse said, nobody's ever done this before. And I said, I know, I'm a bit mad, aren't I, with all my cuttings? She said, no, nobody's ever brought the HbA1c down that quickly. So I was stunned at that, and I was quite sad actually, because I thought, well, actually, you know, I've followed this low carb way of eating for just 2 months. My symptoms disappeared within a week or so. I've lost this weight. My blood sugars come down. And, you know, when I went onto the forum, it was very clear that carbohydrates turn to sugar. So why the guidelines tell us to eat a lot of sugar, I was quite annoyed. I was quite angry, actually. I thought, this is wrong. And also on all the forums you go on, the diabetic forums, they're all giving you the same advice. Just lower your carbs and basically avoid the guidelines. Now that's heartbreaking. So I thought, I was so passionate about it. And I don't want to go on too long about my story, but I'll kind of put it in a nutshell. So I carried on this journey, and then I went back. So I was diagnosed in December. I went back in the February. I'd lost 2 stone. My HbA1c was pre-diabetic. I went back in the May. My blood sugars had normalized. They were in the non-diabetic range at 41. They're actually in the 30s now. And that's 4 years later. I'd lost 4 stone. And all my blood, I had a raft of bloods done. My cholesterol was fine. Everything was normal, no action. And I was feeling great. And I just thought to myself, right, I've done it quite easily. And I can see so many other people doing it really easily. I need to get my story out there. So I just happened to put a little blog on, I do a blog on the diabetes.co.uk forum, and I just said, I can't believe it, I've lost 50 pounds. I've done all the diets under the sun, and I've never lost this much weight, and I've never, you know, I've never maintained it anyway, but I was absolutely floating on air, 4 stone lighter. So basically, the PR team from diabetes.co.uk read this, and they said, can we get, because I was actually putting out the feelers to the other forum members. I said, can we get together, you know, get our big pants, my husband will come and take photographs, and we'll do videos, and we'll see if any of the newspapers want to listen to us. We can share our success. Anyway, the diabetes.co.uk sent the PR team. We all met in Birmingham, which is quite central England. We took our big pants, we all did interviews. And then from that moment, we were sharing our stories in the newspapers, in magazines. I actually was invited on telly with, you may not have heard of them, Holly Willoughby and Phil Schofield. It's a This Morning programme, and very high profile. I was absolutely petrified, but I thought, do you know what? If it helps one person, I'm going to do this. And it's just gone from there, really. Obviously my diabetic nurse could see the results, and she was absolutely amazed. And I said, you know, can I join the patient participation group? Which I did. So that's helping patients, and they gave me my own sessions, patient to patient. I came in with a big suitcase, at least 32 kilograms, and I put all my wares onto the table. So basically, I took some guidance from Dr. David Unwin with his table of sugars, because it's so powerful. So you've got your jacket potato, and to somebody metabolically challenged like myself, it equals about 19 teaspoons of sugar. And the faces, they were, no way. Yes, you know, and also We're all different. So I struggle with starchy carbohydrates, but you might not be struggling. So the best thing for everybody to do, really, even non-diabetics, I think, is test your blood sugars, see where you're up to, see what actually works for you and what doesn't. So you don't actually get advice to test your blood sugars when you get diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. And I could never get my head around that either. Because if you don't know what your food's doing to you, you know, how can you know what to avoid? So basically, I tested with a blood glucose monitor and I kept a food diary, and I put it into a little app called My Sugar, MYSUGR, and it gives you an estimated HbA1c. So the foods that spiked me, for example, potatoes, rice, pasta, bread, and some fruit, actually, I avoided, or I, changed the portion sizes, and I could see my HbA1c coming down. And basically, I was like, this is just so easy. And we're being given the wrong advice. And it was no wonder my mum ended up on insulin. She was given all this medication and she wasn't getting better. She was getting worse. She was on this insulin. She must have had sugar oozing out of every part of her, because it can affect every part of your body as well. So I just became very vocal about it, Brian, really. I just want to help other people. And like I said, I started working with the surgery. I'm currently working with the social prescribers for obesity and diabetes. Unfortunately, COVID came along. So whereas I was doing one-to-one sessions and they got me rooms out in the community to do talks, I don't know, I'm not a public speaker. I'm a mum and a granny. I've never done this before. I'm so out of my comfort zone. But as long as I've got a little speech prepared, because I don't like to forget anything, because it could be something really important, then I'm okay. I'm good to go with my little props, you know, my food diary, my blood glucose monitor. And also what really made it, what's so powerful for me was I got a continuous glucose monitor. Now, they're very expensive. Type 2s can't normally get them on prescription. I had to buy them. I'm fortunate enough, I was able to buy a few of these just to monitor what the food was doing. So I made some graphs, and I started doing the Zoom meetings for the patients. Because of COVID, I couldn't see patient to patient. And it kind of, when it progressed from doing the Zoom meeting to thinking, do you know what? I think I could put this into a video. And then everybody could share it round. It's not just me one-to-one in my surgery and the surgery surrounding. And I do dream big, actually. I thought to myself, it could spread around all the surgeries in the whole of the UK. Do you know what? There's diabetes all over the world. It could be worldwide, this. And I've got quite, I love the Twitter profile, because it's just little old me. And I've got over 5,000 followers now. And I was like, those 5,000 followers, it's a snowball effect, isn't it? They're passing it on. So basically, I say yes to any interviews. I was very, very nervous about meeting you. I'm absolutely honoured to be here, actually, because I've listened to your podcast.
You know, and you're the reason we do it, right? People like you and you know, patients who they give up hope and they see what happened to mom and they think they're on the same disaster course. And you know, your story gives other people hope. And that's what we could talk to the experts all day long, but hearing your testimony and your story and your motivation to go and help other people, because you know how it feels and you want to help them and pass it along.
I do know how it feels as well. And I also know how it feels when you get diagnosed. You're lost. You're probably the only one, maybe, you know, in your family, maybe, you know, because it's getting younger and younger. It used to be classed as an old person's illness, but it's not now. And Dr. David Unwin's youngest patient is 10. So, you know, you feel isolated, you feel lonely, I felt guilt. I've done it to myself. I'd let myself get overweight. So I didn't actually tell anybody I was type 2 diabetic for some weeks, actually. But then I thought to myself, when I realized what happened, so basically I was eating a lot of carbohydrates. I was coming in, throwing ultra processed food, family lasagna for 4 into the oven. And when I look at how much sugar is in that now and how much sugar is in ultra processed foods, that was part of the problem. So, you know, and then when you're having a carbohydrate fueled diet, you tend to want more carbs. Every time you come down from that roller coaster, you think, oh, I felt really good when I was up there, I'll have some more carbs. And you're on this constant roller coaster. So I found that when I lowered my carbs, I wasn't having the same cravings. I wasn't feeling the same hunger, because I was having these healthy fats. I didn't know there was such a thing as healthy fats until I became diabetic. So I've educated myself, and I thought I was eating quite healthy. So how many other people are like me? So I want to spread my knowledge. I still learn something every day from listening to people like yourself. But what's the little bit I do know, I know I can help people with. So I got rid of the guilt and shame, because type 2 diabetes does come with, you know, like a stigma, I feel. I got rid of that, and I started standing on my orange box and talking to anybody that would want to, even in the supermarket. If somebody was in front of me, I've got little cards made, and I was like, oh, you know, chatting away. And I said, do you know what? I said, I've just been diagnosed diabetic. Yeah, here's my card. You know, I've got a little website that my daughter set up for me, Deb's Daily Diabetes Diary. It's really hard to say. I'm going to try and put more on that. I'm doing a daily positive post of the day, and it's something to do with, you know, nutritional health. I would like to, I made myself lots of leaflets to hand out, like the swaps, what worked for me. So instead of having potatoes, I would have celeriac. Instead of having chips, I would have halloumi fries. Instead of having rice, I would have cauliflower rice and spice it up with chilies and herbs and garlic. Instead of having pasta, I would have my bolognese, my beef bolognese on a bed of cabbage or some broccoli, whatever worked for my blood sugars to bring them down and to keep them there. Now, I was diagnosed in December 2017, and I've just had my latest bloods, and I'm normal. If I went into another doctor's surgery now, they would just think I was just normal with all my health markers are optimal. So
what does your personal doctor say about your transformation? What's happening? Do they come on board with what you're talking about?
Well, to start with, at the very beginning, the doctor I saw, he said, you could do that with low calorie. And I said, well, yes, the low calorie is okay, but there's only so long you can stay on a low calorie diet, you know, especially if you're slim. Low calorie isn't good for slim people that can't afford to lose weight. And when I lost all the weight I needed to lose, what do I do then? So it's okay in the short term, but not for long term. And to me, low carbohydrates, just a few significant changes in my diet, you know, 4 years later, I'm absolutely feeling on top of the world. My husband tells me I look great, and that's good enough for me. And the thing is, I've never maintained this weight loss ever. So I'm over 4 years now, and it's quite easy. Now, I do actually hop on the scales quite regularly because I don't want to go back into that diabetic boat, you know, and I know that things happen in life. We get challenges. I've been quite lucky, but other people, like bereavements and everything. So I like to keep my eye on it. I don't want to go back into that diabetic boat. I'm out of it now. And I just want to spend my time helping others as often as I can. So that's basically, you know, I made lots of leaflets to hand out when I was doing my one-to-ones at the surgery. It's now on Zoom, which is great. So I just send the I send the leaflets by email. I kind of say yes to any interviews, and I've been as far as low carb down under, and I shared my journey with them as well. So anybody really that wants me to, and I'm just one of so many sharing the journey. You know, there's thousands of people doing what I'm doing, but I'm probably a little bit vocal. So basically, I'm to feel so good.
How about exercise? Has that changed for you over this time?
Well, it's funny you should say that, really. I was never really one for exercising. I do like going for a walk. I live by the seaside, so it's great to walk on the promenade. I can't say I'm a gym goer, I'm not. And I have spent a lot of time in front of my laptop trying to help other people. But you definitely can do this without exercise, because I speak to a lot of people, a lot of obese, seriously obese people, and they're bringing their blood sugars down with just these simple changes. Because, you know, if you think, for example, a jacket potato turns into 19 teaspoons of sugar, and you're swapping that for, you know, celeriac, that's a lot less sugar that your body has to deal with. Yeah, I just like,
so people
to,
seem to get it, like even simple people who may not know a lot
yeah.
about science, they can get it and say, oh, I'll swap this and I'll do, you know,
Yes,
do
it's
some
it's
changes.
basically simple swaps. So I did a sheet of simple swaps as well, and I hand that out. My, you know, what to swap it for. I've done various leaflets, really. I've got like about 10 leaflets that I can hand out just to help people, because they will be in the same position as I was in when I was diagnosed, absolutely knowing nothing. You know, you think you're eating healthy with all the healthy symbols on the packets, don't you? You know, when we go shopping, but it doesn't always equate to healthy food, these healthy symbols, especially not when you're, you know, metabolically challenged, which, you know, I was, because I became type 2 diabetic. And yeah, so it's just, I'm just trying to educate people as I go along on my journey, and do things like this. You know, you kindly invited me along. Thank you so much. I'm honored, actually.
No, it's great to have you, because I think it's important, because, you know, we could talk all we want. People don't know. They go, okay, you have an agenda, you're trying to build your practice, whatever. But when you see people doing better, you start realizing, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people who just, they're not medical. Like you said, I'm not a medical person, but I kind of figured out what worked for me, right? And so just figure out, like, you know, what works for you ultimately and what's sustainable. And so all the time people say, well, this is not sustainable, it's a fad diet, it's crazy. And then, but all these people are saying, look, I've done it for 5 years or 4 years or whatever. And so it's like it's frustrating for people to keep hearing that it can't be done, and they're doing it.
Exactly, yeah. And I do always think about my poor mum as well, you know, because I don't blame the doctors, but I think that the advice that my mum was given didn't really help her. And I think that's why I'm so focused. I want to help other people's mums, other people's sisters, brothers, grandparents. You know, my mum, I just think she had sores on her legs that wouldn't heal. She had neuropathy, liver and kidney issues, blood pressure. She was registered blind in the end. So, you know, she had a stroke as well. So all the things that she was doing that were supposedly helping with the diabetes, to me, she just got progressively worse. So I just think I have got progressively better, you know, with what I'm eating, and it just makes a lot of sense. So that's why I'm very vocal. And, you know, people like yourself, Dr. David Unwin, Dr. Asim Malhotra, all these doctors that are on my wavelength, really, I'm just, when I listen to them, I'm just nodding all the time. Yes, this is what should be out there. I think the guidelines need to change as well. Well, I know they do, because to tell somebody that's insulin resistant to eat lots of starchy carbohydrates, just that's going to, well, I've seen what happens with when I eat starchy carbohydrates. You know, it's like a blood sugar roller coaster. So the guidelines need to change. But, you know, there's all sorts of complications with that, because the food industry, and, you know, I don't really want to go down that. I don't profess to know a lot about that. All I know is what's happened to me. I can only go off my journey and what lowering my blood sugars has done for my, I've never felt better. And my husband tells me I've never looked
And what
better.
other things have you noticed? That's another thing, like, you know, mood wise, joint pains, back pain, anything like that changed, or sleeping, or anything else that has changed with your journey?
Well, the symptoms, as I said before, the symptoms disappeared within basically 2 weeks.
That was more the
So
heartburn,
the
acid.
heartburn, yeah, I had actually blurry vision as well.
Mhm.
Just on a couple occasions in the morning, I had reoccurring yeast infections. that I didn't realize, I just thought I'm a woman, I'm getting older, I was 54 at the time. So I was just thinking, well, it's just my body. And then when I started looking into it and I found diabetes.co.uk and I was listening to the fellow diabetics, I learned so much as well. And I just thought, I just wanted to share my knowledge, and I can't do anything for my mum now because my mum passed away 14 years ago, but I can help other people's mums. I can help other people's sisters, brothers, even children. Children are getting it now, aren't they? It makes me so sad, the food industry. It's, when I read the labels, there's so many ingredients in there, and I kind of try and stick to 5 ingredients or less. I know what I'm having. Some of them you can't even pronounce them, these ingredients. So I just trying to do my bit to help other people and steer them away from the diabetic type 2 diabetes if I can, and if they're pre-diabetic, steer them away from. It's harder to, once you're in the type 2 diabetic boat, it's harder to get out. So I'm on a mission really, Brian, to help other people.
Yeah, neighbors and friends and whoever
Yeah,
will listen, right? But do you find a
absolutely.
lot of people just aren't ready to listen?
Yes. Well, there's somebody that was diagnosed at the same time as me. And that he springs to mind. And he said, you know what, life's short. I'm just going to eat what I want and I'm going to take the medication. Now, I'm over 4 years down the line and I'm not on any medication whatsoever. I didn't start it. I asked for the nurse to give me two months, and she gave me that, and I've never looked back. The person I'm talking about has gone on one medication, stronger medication, lots of side effects, that type 2 diabetes brings along, not very well, but continues to eat too much sugar, basically. Now, sugar, I didn't realize carbohydrates when I was diagnosed. Carbohydrates turn to sugar. I just thought it was sugar, cakes, sweets, biscuits. Well, no, as I said before, jacket potato can turn into a lot of sugar. Rice can turn into a lot of sugar, pasta, the starchy carbohydrates. So I think education is key as well. So I try and do my bit to educate as I'm going along. I am working with several surgeries. I have done talks as well. And I'll go really to whoever wants to listen. And like I said, I take my suitcase. It's so, honestly, when people see them sugars, when I put my jacket potato there and the 19 teaspoons of sugar, cubes of sugar, they say, no. So when you're metabolically challenged, your body struggles to deal with things, the starchy carbohydrates. So I just like to do my bit. I can't help my mum now, but I can help other people's mums, other people's uncles, grandparents, friends, children. So that I've kind of got a mission in life, and thank you for inviting me onto your platform, because it's just makes me all warm and toasty inside when I can just share my knowledge.
Yeah, and me too. And then we'll put links to everything you're doing, and so people can track you down and find you and grow your YouTube channel and all the stuff that you're doing, because I think we need right now, especially with COVID, so many people, I think a lot of us kind of lost hope for a while, and you kind of look around and think, this world has gone crazy. What are we doing? And so to have a light, someone like you who during this is really reaching out and helping people and doing Zoom, doing it however you have to do it to reach people, that says something about you.
It's also not just for diabetes or pre-diabetes, because my husband is non-diabetic. So he kind of just made a few small changes with his diet, and he lost 1.5 stone. His blood pressure was elevated. So there was a threat of a second medication. He was already on one. Now, when he lost the weight, his blood pressure normalized, but he didn't have to take that second medication. And to be honest, he doesn't really need this medication that he's on, but he feels like, the doctors have given me that, so that's fine, but he's absolutely feels on top of the world. So it's It's just eating real food. That's the way I mean, I'm not the best chef. I've got a slow cooker, I've got a wok, and I've got an oven, a tray in my oven, and I can just throw anything in there with lots of tasty ingredients, your garlic, your herbs, your spices, and I couple it up with, you know, some vegetables or some cauliflower rice, and it's super tasty, you know, and it's easy. I can just leave it cooking while I'm sorting myself out. And an omelette maker, which cost me £10. I'm not sure what it is in dollars, but it's so cheap. And I just put my eggs in there and I just get myself ready for the day ahead. And then my omelette's ready in 5 minutes. So it's not like it has to be complicated. You know, I've also got
planning ahead, cooking at home, not saying, oh, we have to eat out every night because, you know, I'm too tired when I get home from work. You know, just those little changes really make a difference.
Absolutely, yeah. And I do eat out as well. We do eat out a couple of times a month, and there was a little bit of a minefield there, because a few times I'd be testing my blood sugars and I'd be like, oh, what on earth was in that, because I'd have a spike, you see. So, but I mean, I'm 4 years down the line now, so I know exactly. And that's why I think, well, I've learned so I can help others might not be in the same position as me to be able to buy your blood sugar monitors and, you know, your continuous glucose monitors. So I can do the experimenting and I can say, well, this worked for me or this didn't work for me, and we're basically metabolically challenged, so you can more or less, the guidance is going to be the same. We might differ on a few things, but generally, you know,
it depends on how sick you are metabolically too. Someone's diabetic, they have to be more strict at the beginning to get to the stage that you're at now. So you can get away, your body can handle more of the carbohydrates than you could 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. And I was very strict at the beginning because I was still in shock, and I was like, oh no, oh right, I'm on it. So basically I drank lots of water. I probably had about 20 to 40 grams of carbohydrates a day. So I was, to put that in perspective, I was probably having 300 grams of carbohydrates a day before this. So that was a massive drop. So yes, the weight did drop off me because as a consequence of that as well. But you know, it's just learning about nutrition. I thought wrong. I thought jacket potatoes were healthy, and I certainly thought cereal was healthy. And when I look at the packets now, and they've got all the healthy symbols on, and when I see what the ingredients are, if I poured myself a bowl of cereal now, I'd be thinking that's just like a bowl of sugar, because there's so much sugar in it. And everything nowadays, sugar's cheap. You know, they put sugar in everything under over 100 different names, which I know now, but hidden, it doesn't say sugar, it says dextrose or something like that. Well, that didn't mean anything to me when I was diagnosed. So I've learned, and I just want to share my knowledge, and in the hope of helping others. And when I get feedback, you know, whatever social media platform, they come back and they say, look what I've done, look at the weight I've lost. I'm no longer diabetic, I'm no longer pre-diabetic. I'm just buzzing. I'm absolutely delighted. And it's kind of my mission in life now. So
yeah, it's great to see that you're impacting people and that your hard work is paying off.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's people like yourselves. I've educated myself through people like you, Dr. David Unwin, people putting themselves out there, Dr. Asim Malhotra, and also Dr. Sarah Hallberg. I've got to say a big shout out to her, because when I watched that video over the TED Talk, Dr. Sarah Hallberg, if anybody wants to watch something about how to control diabetes and get into reverse, that is the video to watch. It's about 15 minutes. I'm not medically trained. She was talking to me and I understood everything. She was talking my language, and I was able to introduce the changes into my life from people like yourselves and those different people. So I'm going to take this opportunity to say thank you for everything that you do as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know, and I've just followed along with Dr. Unwin and Dr. Noakes and Fetke and all these people, and they went through a lot. They went through a lot to really help people, you know, and they got criticized and continue to get criticized. And you know, I think you have to see the fruit of your labor. When you see people getting better, it's worth it. You know, like 'cause some people just aren't. They're just gonna fight forever and say it's not working. But you know, the people, when you see it, like your life, you know, you want to help other people, and that's just kind of, you know, paying it forward. you know, and those
And
people are going to help other people, and it just their
mhm.
communities and their families and everything, you know.
Yeah, and they say it's not sustainable. And I was like, do you know, I've just done a swaps list. I did this at the beginning. So I've swapped my ordinary rice for cauliflower rice. I've swapped my pasta for green vegetables. I swapped my potatoes for celeriac. You know, what's not sustainable about that? There's nothing that's, you know, it's good, wholesome food, and healthy fats as well. You know, it's like, oh, you're eating a lot more fat. No, I'm eating healthy fats. I didn't know there was such a thing as healthy fats when I was diagnosed. You know, there's avocados, olives, nuts, fatty fish, your meat. There's so many healthy fats, and you can fill yourself up on the fats as well. So you're eating less. So I can't actually believe how little I think about food, as in, before I was diagnosed, I'd be eating my breakfast, planning my 11sies, eating my 11sies, thinking what I was having for lunch and what I'd having for dinner. So it was constantly thinking about food. And now I don't. It sounds very strange, but it's not on my radar. You know, and also we've got what's called, we normally have dawn phenomenon in the morning. So our blood sugars are probably higher than anybody else's. That can be how it works. So to have, you know, to follow the guidelines when they say have a bowl of cereal and also have it with a slice of toast and a glass of fruit juice. Now, a glass of fruit juice in itself can turn into 6 teaspoons of sugar. Your slice of toast, my old slice of toast, what I used to eat, was 19 grams of carbohydrates. You know, when you think 4 grams of carbohydrates turns into about a teaspoon of sugar, you know, you add your orange juice to your cereal, which is goodness knows how much sugar, to your slice of toast, and you're already waking up with higher blood sugars. So honestly, I was like, how can
And then you're
these
taking
guidelines?
medicine to lower the sugar you're giving yourself.
Yes, exactly.
And that's
Dr.
what Dr.
Unwin,
Unwin first saw, and he said, this doesn't
yes,
make sense, does
it
it?
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But you see, Dr. Unwin, even doctors can learn. When he started out, he was giving the advice. I'm thinking type 2 diabetes is progressive. That's what he was trained in medical school. And then this lady came in and he didn't recognize her. She'd lost all this weight. And he said, he did her bloods and she was normal. And he was like, what have you been doing? Well, I've just lowered my carbs.
Yeah,
So
she started
he
eating
learned,
eggs and bacon
yeah,
and all that
yes,
stuff. She said, I
exactly.
looked at what my grandma was eating and I just did what she did. And she
Yeah,
was thin.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think that's it. Going back to how we used to eat, you know, I remember my mum cooking a meat and 2 veg, and your grandparents as well. It was all real food, wasn't it? But now it's just ultra processed, and they just put so much in it. If you read, you know, I used to have like it's like a Chinese or something, and you look at the packet now, there's about 20 ingredients in it, and so much sugar and so much rubbish. You can't even pronounce some of the names. You can't even pronounce them. So yeah, it's great, really. I feel fabulous. I just want everybody to have the same education. And I was thinking maybe I started with just my local surgeries, and now I've got a bigger platform on Twitter. I'm looking at going to Instagram. I'm not very technical at all. My daughter's set me up this Deb's Daily Diabetes Diary, and I'm going to try and put some leaflets on there to help people. My videos on there, but I've got to get myself a little bit more technical as well, so people will have to bear with me, but if I can help anybody, the YouTube video, it's actually got a comment section underneath, so if anybody's got any questions, they can ask me. If I can answer it, it won't be medical, but it'll just be on my journey, what I've learned, what helps us, what helps, you know, diabetics. I can signpost people, so it's a great little facility. So I'm absolutely delighted. It's already had thousands of views. So it's just little old me. I'm a mum, I'm a granny, but my over 4 years journey now, it's not just a 6-month journey. I've sustained it. The weight loss, I can't believe it. I've maintained a 4-stone weight loss. I've never done that before, because normally it was, okay, you're dieting for Christmas or a special occasion, you know, it might be a wedding or something's going on, and you lose the weight, maybe half a stone or a stone to get into a little outfit. And then as soon as you go back to eating normal, you go back to square one, and probably a little bit more as well. Now, my turning point was when my mum passed away, actually, because I did used to weigh myself quite regularly before that. And then it just didn't seem important anymore. I'd lost my beloved mum, and you know, I saw how she struggled at the end as well. So I didn't weigh for a good couple of years, and then when I got back on the scales, I was like, ooh, you know. So I do think I do keep my eye on it now, because I think, you know, you've got to keep your eye on the ball as well. I was in the type 2 diabetic boat, and I know if I, you know, I could get back in there again, because I was in it once before. So basically, I just like to keep my eye on my weight. I kind of know what works for me blood sugar wise now with food. The only thing I would say was we've just been on holiday. So holidays can be a little bit challenging, can we say. It was a lovely hotel, and it was just there was a buffet in the morning and at night time. Buffet, amazing. So I did the omelette lady that makes the omelettes. We first name terms, and she put everything in the omelettes that I asked for. And then I had like a little starter every day, which I don't normally have breakfast actually, because I'm never normally hungry. That's another thing, eat when you're hungry. I was on automatic pilot before. So I just, if I'm not hungry in the morning, just a coffee and cream. So basically, I'm on holiday, and it was bed and breakfast, so I was going to get my money's worth. And so basically, I had these fabulous omelettes in the morning, and also, you know, your meats, your cheeses, and you know, it's all out there. So yeah, it can be a challenge though, you know, with your blood sugars if you're eating out, because you don't know what all the ingredients are, because they throw flour in, and flour can put your blood sugars up. And, yeah,
and oils and fry things
and oils,
and, you know, all that
oh,
kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yes, that's it. Another thing is oils as well. So I stick to the coconut oil, and I stick to olive oil and butter, and you know, when I first was diagnosed, butter for cooking, no, surely not. Margarine may be better. And when you look at all the ingredients on the margarine, oh, it's horrendous. So no, butter is best. And so that's basically all I cook with, really.
Well, hey,
keep it
the time went too fast. I have to ask you, what's life's best medicine for you? Like, what have you learned about yourself? What do you think matters in life? Like after these last couple of crazy years we've been through, like, what would you say, hey guys, this is what really is important?
What really is important is, I would say, looking at, there's nobody knows your body like you do. So look out for the warning signs. If anything's different, if there's anything that's worrying you, go to your GP, your doctor. And you know, self-help as well. There's so much information out there, so much support, and you know, like I got to reverse my diabetes. I like to call it remission actually, by just typing 2 words in. You know, if you haven't got access to the internet, then your family member will have. So lots of get help and support. You know, we're in this together. It's diabetes.co.uk, and another site, Diet Doctor, is amazing. Lots of brilliant infographics, and visuals really make it for me. So yes, and Deb's Daily Diabetes Diary, you know, point them towards me. I'll do my best to signpost them. If I can't answer the questions, I'll signpost them. I'm working on other things as well. So we are actually in the process of buying a motorhome. So we are going to be going out and about. Deb and Airs on tours now. I must mention my husband at this. I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. But like I said, he lost 1.5 stone. He's you know, his metabolic health is brilliant. So we're actually, Deb and Airs, going on tour. And if anybody wants us to do a talk anywhere in the UK, everything's for free. I don't charge anything. I just want to help. We'll do a little talk. I've got lots of infographics. I've got lots of visuals. We can do it on Zoom. And we're just happy to help.
That's so awesome. Yeah. And I'll put a link to all this. I'll give you my email and have you email me all your links and all that kind of stuff. And we'll get you out there. So everyone, this is great stuff. This is, you know, I really want to have people who, this is their testimony, this is their real life, and, you know, doing good things and going out and helping other people. And, you know, this gives us a little bit of hope for humanity when people want to go out and help each other and do good things at your own cost a lot of times. And so everyone, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. And Deb, thanks so much for joining me and for your journey and for sharing it and being willing to talk. I know it's not I think you're more of a public speaker than you think, because you're doing a great job. But yeah,
definitely not. But
you're forced into it.
The more often you do it, the more comfortable you've made me feel very comfortable anyway. So thank you for that.
No, it's great having you. It's so great. I'm just happy that people are going to be able to hear you and maybe make a change. I mean, say, oh, maybe I can do something, because so many people are told that it's out of their control. They can't do anything about it. And, it doesn't make a difference. And, the truth is, because you took control of your health right when you got diagnosed, your journey is going to be a lot easier than if you had waited 15 or 20 more years and then try to reverse it. It gets worse and worse over time, and that's the truth. So, doing what you're doing is just remarkable, and helping prevent people from getting on insulin or diabetic. If we can prevent it, is better than trying to reverse the ship that's already very damaged. So yeah, keep up the good work. Proud of you.
Thank you, and thanks for everything you're doing as well.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. We would greatly appreciate a positive thumbs up on all of the platforms like iTunes and Spotify or wherever you're listening. And we just thank you for our Patreon supporters. We greatly appreciate your help in getting this message out. We think there's a lot of important information, and hopefully this helps you. Have a great day, and thank you for listening, and thank you for your support.